Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the world of V-Gaming Junkie News. Eldrick is long and dead, and he took his dross with him, so there's nothing but pure gaming-related meatiness. It's at least 95% all about the electronic good stuff as we dive deep into all that's new in the various interactive virtual worlds. We start out as a rumor as Video Games Chronicle claims there's a new Star Wars Knight of the Old Republic game in the works. Moreover, Jason Schreier reportedly claims it won't have anything to do with EA. That's right, BioWare will not be making this one. Whether this is a blessing or a curse depends on you, but given their recent track record, maybe a blessing. Whoever this mystery company turns out being is anyone's guess, but the article suggests it'll be some smaller company that people won't necessarily expect. Let's hope this leads to something good rather than some conveyor belt generic product or ideological disaster. In other news, Ninja's apparently received flack for saying he isn't responsible for teaching his chat about spicy things like racism. Honestly, he really isn't for the most part. While he should moderate his chat, and I'm sure he does, or at least has a moderator staff for that, it's not his job to teach people's children. I could understand if he was doing that himself and being a bad example, but that's simply not the case. I know what I'm about to say is super controversial and will probably get me flagged too, but it's the responsibility of a child's parents to teach them right or wrong and instill values into them. If you have a child and that child is acting with such hatred towards a group of people, that is a reflection of your failure as a parent. Quit passing the buck to entertainers or writers or society at large and spend some time with your kids to instill the right values into them. Trust me, future generations will thank you for it. With more craziness, I'm sure by now you've heard of the story with GameStop and Wall Street. For those of you who haven't, some Redditors decided to lump together and buy the GameStop stocks in mass as big hedge firms advised them were participating in shorting that stock. Shorting a stock is essentially when you bet against the stock. Any increase you lose and vice versa. It's like the negative version of buying into a stock. You're actually hoping it gets lower. With this Reddit-inspired flood, the stock actually boosted by quite a bit, leaving these hedge firms with a big debt problem on their hands. In retaliation for this, it seems many marketplaces for stocks shut off the ability to buy GameStop stocks, at least for a while. Notably Robinhood, who has apparently reopened at a limited capacity since then, but was understandably raked through the coals just for closing it down to begin with. It gave the impression that the elites of Wall Street were disapproving of the Redditors, putting one over on them and artificially putting a stop to it. While obviously the intent can't really be proven, the blowback is very justified in my opinion. It seems we, for the first time, are realizing just how crooked the system really is, with elites owning these marketplaces and just shutting it off whenever it doesn't work in their favor. I'm a huge fan of free market capitalism, and controlling the market with an iron fist is about as far removed from that as it gets. While this isn't purely gaming-related news, it's GameStop, so close enough. And the legal talk never ceases as Valve is being sued for reportedly keeping PC game prices artificially high. Surprising for a storefront that's all about taking advantage of massive deals, Valve had a clause about keeping the price the same across all platforms. This was called the most favored nations to make it very difficult to compete in Epic, itch.io, or the Microsoft Store. While the Epic Store has done some questionable things themselves, one notable perk was taking much less of a cut for game sales, which would in theory allow game prices to be lower on it if not for this clause. According to the article, Valve was also recently accused of ripping off a patent when it comes to their Steam controller, the rear-sided paddle specifically. With the countries-based problem they were facing before with the EU, things just aren't going Valve's way as of late. Moving on to something a little brighter, CD Projekt Red has reportedly released modding tools for Cyberpunk 2077. They also pledged to update it to make it better over time, in addition to various patches designed to make Cyber 2077 slightly less broken. Hopefully they're especially focusing on the PS4 and Xbox One versions, as they may be last gen, but they were the subject of this game's release until the next gen, so don't leave them completely behind. Even so, the modding should be a big help with whatever bugs exist on PC. As you well know, Bethesda's been benefiting heavily off of mods over the years, as many unofficial patches and other improvements have been released on places like Nexus Mods. Here's hoping Cyberpunk 2077 achieves a happy ending, and perhaps one day I'll actually get around to playing it myself. And now for some very bitter news. It would seem Jeanette Moss, a Resident Evil 8 voice actress, has sadly passed away due to cancer. She reportedly voiced several dev characters in Resident Evil 8, including the witches, and a Capcom dev account on Twitter tweeted their regards. It's always very saddening to learn about someone's death. I only hope her friends and family can find peace in this tragedy. Hopefully Capcom is also able to make use of her voice recordings. I say this since it was her final performance, so she deserves to have it shared far and wide if nothing else. Rest in peace, Jeanette. On the subject of voice actors, Roger Craig Smith will no longer be voicing Sonic the Hedgehog. Don't worry, he's still with us. He's simply retiring from the role. He was reportedly the voice of Sonic for at least 10 years, in addition to others like Resident Evil's Chris Redfield. Here's hoping Sega can find someone worthy enough to replace him, assuming they plan to continue Sonic, and hopefully wherever Roger ends up next proves to be fulfilling enough for him. This news video has been full of bad and sad news, so this last one will be something a lot lighter-hearted. It seems that Minecraft goers recreating Nintendo Land on the world-famous indie construction game. For those who aren't in the know, Nintendo Land is a planned extension by Universal Studios, both Orlando, Florida and Japan. Honestly, it's probably the one theme park edition I've seen in quite some time that genuinely has my interest. Galaxy's Edge didn't exactly do it for me. Sadly, with the recent pandemic, it was delayed on both fronts. The Japanese one seems to be nearing completion, but who even knows how long the Florida one will take? It's a really good thing, then, that we've got Dippy22 to give us this while we wait. While it's apparently only 5% done as of the time of this article, that's still a pretty impressive effort, and I look forward to seeing its completion. As always, from Games Radar's own page, it's time for this week's round of release dates. It seems the dry spell is officially over because there's a good number of releases this week too. Starting out on the 2nd of February, we have Apex Legends' Season 8 Mayhem for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Following up is Control Ultimate Edition for the two new systems and Cultist Simulator Initiate Edition for Switch. The 4th sees Audius Cosmos and his Robot Quest for PC and Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood for PC as well as PlayStation and Xbox new and old. Kinetic Edge releases for PC and ReZero's Starting Life in Another World The Prophecy of the Throne for PS4 and Switch on the 4th. In addition, Neo Remastered the Complete Edition releases for PC and PS5 as well as the Neo Collection for PS5. As if that wasn't enough, Neo 2 the Complete Edition for PC and PS4 and Neo 2 Remastered the Complete Edition for PS5. That's a lot of Neo. Finally, Ampersat releases for PC on the 6th. This week's epic freebie until next Thursday is Dendera Trials of Fear Edition, a 2D Metroidvania title. Also a rare Steam freebie I actually have time to tell you about, Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. This mass battle sim is only available free on Steam until tomorrow, so be quick about snatching it up. And as always, that rounds out this week of video game news. I hope you enjoyed and were well enough informed. A reminder, I Let's Play every day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m, live stream Mondays and Fridays unless otherwise specified at 4:30 p.m, and these news programs are Sundays at 6 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, but you can always subscribe into your portal device, that bell icon, if you don't want to have to worry about keeping track of these time zones. A like is also appreciated for those algorithms, but I just hope you genuinely liked it, and that is it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. Spread this video around like the boss's endless nobility and courage, and I'll see you next time. Capitalize on life, peace out, have a good one, and I'll see you next week.